What's going on, everybody? It's Pelfrey again, and I finally got the 8020. It actually shipped a lot faster than what I thought it was going to. I ordered it on the 30th, and it had a lead time of about 8 days, just because some of the parts that I ordered all black. I wanted it all to be black, so there was an 8-day lead time, I believe. And I'm still blown away that 20 minutes after I placed my order, they called, a representative from 8020 called me and just verified that I did see that there's a lead time on this. So you can see the packaging is extremely well. I struggle with it, my dual knife. They've got this, the framing saran wrapped so good that it takes me forever to get it all off of there. But basically I got 2 pieces of framing. So the first piece is 30 inches, and then the second piece is 7 inches. And this 8020 is going to replace the Kessil gooseneck. I've wanted to get the gooseneck off of the tank for quite some time. It's just intrusive where it's at, and I really wanted to get it behind the tank. And with as shallow as the 20-gallon is, as far as the width is concerned, the gooseneck could not go on the back of the tank. It had to go on the side if I was going to use the gooseneck, and I really wanted to get it off of the tank itself. That way it gives me a little bit more room to get my hands in and out of the tank, and I don't have to worry about the light. So this solution solves that problem. Now, it's going to be quite expensive. The framing is not all that expensive. What gets you is the fasteners. So whenever you start to piece together a light stand, or if you're trying to build a tank stand with this, be prepared, because it is going to cost you. This is the idea that I'm shooting for. I want to mount the 7-inch piece to the 30-inch piece and make an L shape. Here's all the mounting hardware that I'm going to need just to fasten these 2 pieces together. Now, granted, I am going to use this, some of this hardware to mount the 8020 to my tank stand. The assembly of this project is going to be simple, only because I'm only joining 2 pieces together, and then I'm going to mount the 8020 to the stand. It's going to get a lot more complicated the more pieces that you add to the build. It's worth mentioning that if you place an 8020 order and you have a lot of different hardware and fasteners, I would suggest having a computer or a tablet open with the tab open for the fastener, so that you can see the suggested hardware that one takes. For this particular build, all of my hardware takes, all of my fasteners take the same hardware except for 1 piece, and I know exactly which piece this is because I ordered it specifically to mount it to the back side of the stand. So I'm going to do 2 L brackets at the bottom and screw those into the stand, and then a straight bracket down the back, and then mount that to the back of the stand to prevent it from moving back and forth. Here's a useful tip for mounting the fastener to the frame. On the website, they actually demonstrate the threaded washer. I'm going to call it a threaded washer. I don't know the technical name. They actually show the individual sliding that threaded washer into the slot and then putting the fastener on it and then dropping the bolt on it. And in the video, the demonstration, the bolt would grab that washer. I was unsuccessful doing that, so what I ended up doing was taking my fastener, putting the bolt through the hole, and then threading on the washer just a little bit so that I could slide it onto the frame. And that allowed me not only to successfully join the fastener to the frame, but adjust it the way that I need it to. I'm using just a standard Allen wrench to join these pieces together. I believe that they sell some tools on the 8020 website, but I'm not certain on that. You would have to check their website. An Allen wrench works just fine. The problem that I'm having is my Allen wrench is pretty short, and I'm doing the best that I can to not scratch the finish on any of these pieces. So the good thing is I'm only mounting a Kessil A160 light on the end of this, so it doesn't have to be the strongest thing in the world. But let me tell you, whenever you join this corner bracket to this external corner fastener to the 30-inch piece and the 7-inch piece, it is not going anywhere. I mentioned earlier in the video that all of the fasteners that I'm using use the same hardware except for one fastener. So what I did before I started putting this together is I grouped all of the hardware and the fasteners together so that this makes it a little bit easier for me to put this thing together. I've been really bad in the past about putting things together and it being wrong and having to redo it 4 and 5 times. So I'm doing my best to do things right the first time. This is not a kit, just a forewarning. This is not a kit that they sell on their website. This is something that I had them make for me. So there are no directions. The pieces that I ordered are the pieces that I envisioned in my head whenever I wanted to build this thing. So there are no step-by-step directions. I just wanted to give that disclaimer to anyone that's thinking about doing this. It is very easy to piece this together. It can get very confusing if you're trying to do something complicated unless you're using the same fasteners. At that point you would be using the same hardware, but I just wanted to go ahead and give that disclaimer that there are no installation instructions for this. This is something that I built myself on their website, and I placed the order myself, so I'm on my own when it comes to building this. For the bottom of the stand I used 2 L brackets, and I chose 2 L brackets that had 2 mounting holes on each side. So there's 2 holes on each side going into the frame, and then there will be 2 holes going into my tank stand. And then for the mounting the Kessil light, I chose a mount that has 2 holes going into the frame of the 80/20, and then 1 hole that is an L bracket that I can mount the Kessil 90-degree adapter to. Now that we have everything put together, I'm going to do a test fit of the 80/20. I based the 30-inch span on the 80/20 on the height of the Kessil gooseneck. I am still going to use the 90-degree adapter because it's going to make it a lot easier for me to mount the Kessil to the 80/20. Otherwise, I would have to come up with another mounting option, and this, using the 90-degree adapter, makes everything a lot easier. So after reviewing the test fit, I realized that the 7-inch span needed to come back a little bit. I wanted it to be flush with the 30-inch, and you can see there I moved it back just about a half an inch or so. The only reason that I'm doing this, it's not going to necessarily affect the lighting of the tank, but it's going to make the stand look a lot better, and it's going to make this 80/20 look like it's one seamless piece. So with, all I got to do is loosen 2 bolts, screw it back just a little bit, tighten them back up, and we'll be good to go. If you've never been on the 80/20 website, I suggest you get on there. They have a ton of options. Right now, all I'm putting on here is a plastic fastener, and this just cleans up the install just a little bit. Otherwise, you wouldn't really be able to see it because I had all of the 80/20 that I got is black, and I went with the 4 slot for multiple reasons. The main reason being I knew it was going to be easier for me to put together, and then the second reason is it actually gives me a track to run wire in, but they actually sell plastic fasteners that you can run down the side of the 80/20, but in my case it's black and you can't really see it anyway, and I'm going to use one of the tracks, the back track on the 80/20, to hide all of the cables from the Kessil. The final fastener that I need to put on was the oddball that I mentioned earlier in the video. This one uses a different hardware than the other fasteners that I bought. So the objective here is, this is it's a straight bar fastener with 4 holes. 2 of the holes will be going into the 80/20, and then the other 2 will be used to be mounted to the tank stand. And since it's a cardboard back on the tank stand, all I'm going to do is drill 2 holes or cut 2 holes into the cardboard and zip tie it. I don't really know that it's needed. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Once again, the Kessil light doesn't weigh anything, so really the corner brackets is probably going to be good enough. And here I'll give you a close-up of how I'm going to mount this to the tank stand. So for the corner brackets, I just try to get them flush with the bottom, and then on the top of the mount you can see the Kessil is going to go on the end there, and you can see the plastic end cap, which just finishes up the 80/20 and makes it look a little bit better. I could have done away with the end cap on the back piece there, since it's not going to be visible anyway, but it was like it was $1 or less than $1, so I just went ahead and got it. But overall, I really like it. It turned out really good, and as I'm sitting here looking at it, it actually looks like a gun. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate for you now. It's my new weapon. I'm going to carry this around with me for protection. I thought that was kind of funny, so I just went ahead and added that to the video. And as a reference point here, I just went ahead and shot some video of the 80/20 frame mounted behind the tank and left the Kessil gooseneck on the tank. I think you get a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like. Of course, here in a minute we'll get to see what it really looks like, and it does look a lot better. Done this before, but I love using tools, and got the Milwaukee Power impact drill, and then just the Craftsman 18-volt drill out for this project. Anytime I can get a tool out, I'm gonna get it out and use it. I just used 4 half-inch wood screws to mount this to the stand. So without further ado, it's time to get the Kessil gooseneck off of the tank and throw it in the garbage. Nah, I'm joking, I'm not gonna throw it away, but it's time to get it off the tank and get the Kessil mounted to the 80/20. So all I've done here is use Velcro to try to contain the Kessil wires the best that I can. That's really the bad thing about the gooseneck, not only for the 20-gallon, but there's really not a good way to hide the wires unless you want to use 15 of these Velcro straps or 137 zip ties. So once and for all, I'm going to have a good way of hiding all of the cables. I don't know if you can see there on the end of the 80/20, but I did have to make the hole a little bit wider. The overall plan is to use some form of hardware to mount the 90-degree adapter to the 80/20. I don't have anything at the moment, so I'm just going to use some zip ties. And I can't imagine somebody walking in the house and that being the first thing that they notice, because the black zip ties actually blend in very well with the adapter here. It's just taken me a minute to not drop the light into the tank and get the zip tie situated. 1 zip tie or 2 zip ties probably would have held it. For security reasons and for my own sake, I just went ahead and put 3 zip ties in there, so the light's not going to go anywhere. Now that all the zip ties are secured, see how reluctant I am to pull my hands off of the Kessil. I didn't really have any doubt in my mind. I'm lying, I had a little bit of doubt in my mind, but I just wanted to be sure that whenever I let go of the Kessil, it wasn't going to fall into the tank. I guess I probably should have put my hand underneath the light, but I had a pretty good idea that the zip ties were going to hold it in place and I wouldn't have to worry about anything. And at this point, you may have noticed that I have masking tape on the front and back of the tank. This is to measure half of the viewing display, so this is an all-in-one 20-gallon tank. I didn't measure half of the tank, I measured half of the display area of the tank, and that's where I decided to mount the 80/20 on the stand. Now it's time to clean up the wiring of the Kessil. Once again, I'm going to use the Velcro. Avid Velcro user, it's very easy to change or move or unhook instead of a zip tie. With a zip tie, you will more times than not run the risk of cutting a wire, especially if you zip tie things very tight. So I always use Velcro. I picked it up off Amazon. So I'm an avid Velcro user, to say the least. But once I got a couple of pieces of Velcro on here, the rest of the cables for the Kessil fell into the track of the 80/20 perfectly. Now that the cables have been straightened up on the 80/20, it's time to remove the Kessil gooseneck and see the tank with the new light mount on it for the first time. I think you'll really enjoy it. I really like the look of it. I think it looks a lot better. The Kessil gooseneck is not the worst thing in the world, but as you can see here, it is night and day difference. I love this new light mount. It makes everything look cleaner, and in my opinion, it makes everything look better. I hope that this has been informative. If you didn't know about 80/20 before my video, take a look at their website. It's 8020.net. As a final recap, I got some pictures and I'm going to share with you. This was a very easy project to do. I did warn you at the beginning of the video that it's going to get pretty pricey pretty quick, but in my opinion, it's worth it. Whenever you can see the final results, it's definitely worth it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. There's also a gear button if you're watching my videos on the web. Hit that button and then click notify. And if you're watching it on an iPhone app and the YouTube app, hit the bell button and click notify, and you'll be notified whenever I put out new videos. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day.